All right, welcome in to Game Day Live. I'm Joey Slattery. That is Vic Selby from Winnipeg Sports Weekly. This is a very special pregame. It's a bit rushed, so we do apologize. This one won't be running too long because I know, Vic, you're excited. You've got a doubleheader for yourself because you've got is it the World Cup final? It's the final today, right?
Yeah, World Cup final at 2.
Yeah, see, this is how I've been so deep into the Seabears stuff and everything happening. I don't even know where we are with the World Cup. But, yeah, we got the final in the World Cup coming today. And after that, it's definitely the most anticipated game of the year, Vic. Big news coming out the other day. There was a couple of tease statements, but I think everybody knew what it meant. And it was that Xavier Moon is officially in the lineup. And he is going to make his debut tonight at home. Vic, you and I have fielded a lot of questions about when and what is happening. And, we tried our best to explain it as we knew it. But I think both of us and everybody across Seabears Nation is very happy that we're going to have him in the lineup finally.
Yeah, absolutely. It honestly, it couldn't be too much more exciting than this, I think. Just all of this buildup, all of this, like I can say that just in my short time doing media, by far the most complex, layered, crazy story that I think I've ever been involved in. But it is just so fantastic to see Xavier Moon ready to suit up today. Especially after how it looked earlier in this week. Like some of those statements made it sound like, okay, maybe this is coming. But then Jelani Watson-Gale signing, I think a lot of Seabears fans kind of thought, okay, that's probably it then. So then to see this kind of this turn of events and here he is, it's finally happening. It's just, it's unbelievable. We got the final of we literally have the biggest sporting event in the world happening today, and it pales in comparison to how excited I am to watch Xavier Moon play for the Seabears. I cannot wait.
Well, to show that it's real, I mean, this is him in practice this morning. This is the July. Let's. Had the Jelani Watson-Gale footage. I'll get the right one here in a second. But there was a lot of excitement, Vic. I was at morning shoot around, and I apologize for those tuning in. If you were here from the start, it was a little bit delayed. I think we were about almost 5 minutes late, just trying to get everything ready here before we came onto the air. But I was at morning shoot this morning, and I can tell you, it is light. There wasn't a lot of down faces. I know they're coming off a loss, and we'll talk about that just a little bit. But I have to say, Vic, it was a light shoot around. Everyone was smiles. You can tell there's a bit of a resurgence here. Have to remember too, this team, this was a distraction that they had to deal with. I mean, I think they did a great job. I don't think they were distracted, but you can't argue that there was a distraction here waiting to see what was going to happen. But you can tell there's a bit of a weight off the shoulders. Still something to prove here, and everybody knows that. But just having him in the lineup finally, I think guys are excited.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can only imagine how weird it must be to be a player on this team and know that a guy who potentially is going to be your primary ball handler, if not definitely your secondary ball handler, is still on the bench and just not able to play. It's such a question mark. They've had to figure out kind of what does this team look like without him? And now it's a whole matter of we got 5 games to figure out what it looks like with him. So I think there's definitely going to be a lot of questions, but I think that they're going to benefit a lot from the fact that he's been here this whole time, for at least the last month. Like he's been there, he's been in practice, they've played together. It's not a matter of like, even a Jelani Watson-Gale where it's like he just kind of shows up off the plane and he's playing 2 days later. Yeah. I would say that's, even though obviously he's got some familiarity here too, still I feel like that's almost harder to fit into the lineup and kind of, figure this out than Xavier should be. But again, we will see. It's definitely going to be a work in progress, I'd imagine. I don't think that we're going to see the completed version of kind of here's how good this can be today. Who knows if he's got a little bit of rust or something, but I don't want to temper any expectations. I couldn't be more excited. I think he's going to be awesome. I got to be real.
Yeah, no, it's there's a lot of excitement. You're excited. I'm excited. The league is excited. You know who else is excited? Xavier Moon himself. Let's hear him.
Man, it feels amazing, man. Obviously, it's been a month, so itching to play. There's definitely nerves, but good nerves. I haven't played in a month, so yeah, a little bit of nerves, but like I said, I've been doing this for a while, so I'm ready. Just taking it all in. Obviously, it'll be the first time I'm suiting up, so just taking it all in. I'll probably get out there and look around a little bit, look at all the fans, and then just get ready to do what I do.
Before we get in, we'll break this down in just a second here, Vic, but you know who else is excited? Mike Rainbow. He's had to deal with these questions and, you know, the uncertainty, and here's what he had to say leading into today.
Yeah, we're super excited to, finally get him on the court. I mean, he's done such a great job of being a part of our group without being able to step into the games. And, he's been a consummate professional. He's been doing all kinds of things in the community, but, really he came here to play basketball, so we're excited that tonight he gets to do that. He knows how to play the game at a super high level. He's been around the group. He has an understanding of the things that we got to do to be our best. And, try to enjoy the moment. Hopefully the crowd's excited to finally see him play and, have some fun.
Yeah, no, crowd's going to be excited to see him play, Vic. That's 100%. And, this is a guy, as you mentioned earlier, for those just tuning in, it's not like he hasn't been around the team. To your point, it's not coming off the plane like Jelani Watson-Gale. He's very well versed in the systems. He's got some chemistry with these guys from a practice perspective, and now it's just putting it on the floor. Now, the pressure of it all, I mean, we talked about that. It's not that it's pressure. There are nerves, and I appreciated hearing that. He's been around. He knows the atmosphere, so that's not a surprise for him either. And I was kind of, it was not a relief. What's the word I'm looking for? It was nice to hear that there's nerves. I think that means he really does care.
Oh, yeah. For sure. And I think that we can both tell, like, just from talking to him over the last month since he's been in Winnipeg, this guy wants to play basketball so bad. And you could just tell how much passion there is for the game and how he just wants to play. And exactly what Mike Rainbow just said there, he's been super active. I remember speaking to him before the first game of the season and saying that Moon's already been in the group chat. He was the first one in the morning being like, all right, guys, like, let's get going 7 hours or 8 hours, whatever, later in Russia with their million time zones, who knows? But yeah, like, just he's been an active part of this team. I know that everyone's fired up and ready to go. And you know what? I also think that another interesting dynamic here is the fact that the last games that he was playing in were playoff games in one of the top leagues in Europe. That was where we last saw Xavier Moon play basketball. So he kind of had that, flew over here, was ready to jump in, and then has just kind of been on the sidelines. So I can totally see a scenario where the first quarter, maybe there's a couple of I'm feeling it out shots, maybe a few things like that. But just because, like, he's so revved up and ready to go.
Yeah. Here, see if I can pull the So this is from this morning. For those wondering how it's been, yeah, this is fresh stuff happening right now. This was this morning. This is after he knew the news was coming. Keeping it real loose this morning with getting some work and getting those shots up. But you can just tell that guys were so excited to see him in the building, getting the shots up. He's been doing this. Isn't I shouldn't say that it's a rare sighting. He's been taking part in games. Game day processes as if he were playing. So this is not out of routine for him. But the nice thing is now is this is for real. This is him getting ready for an actual game that he knows that he's going to play and that he's prepared for. And, it's nice to see him back. It was, again, it was a much different morning shoot around. They're never intense. Very rarely do you go and do an intense turner or morning shoot. This is usually just getting a little sweat, going over some of the plays. But these guys were all smiles. It was a little bit celebratory. And again, I don't want to misconstrue this. I don't think this is them taking it lightly or anything like that. But it just speaks to the gravity of how much this has been weighing on everybody. In fact, one of the people it's been weighing on is Teddy Allen. There's so many questions, Vic, of can these guys coexist? I don't think it's going to be an issue personally. I've seen both of these guys play. I watched Moon play in his initial run with the Edmonton Stingers, where he won 2 championships, 3 MVPs. This is an elite point guard. I think my only concern is other guys adapting to him at game speed. He is very elite. He's going to put guys in good spots, but I think the pace is going to be a little bit quicker. The passes are going to be a little bit crisper, and he's going to expect you to be in the spots where you're going to find success. So I think, if anything, I'm not worried as much about Moon as I am about the other players around him being prepared to play with him.
Yeah, totally. I think that's a great point. And we've heard it before from other guys who started playing with elite point guards and just saying that is a bit of an adjustment period. I think if I remember correctly, Sean Marion talking about some of his early days on the Phoenix Suns with Steve Nash and just finding out like, oh, okay, like I'm getting passes that I'm not expecting, and it's exactly where I want it to be, and it's a great pass, but it's a second half before that I was ready for it. So yeah, I can totally see that kind of thing being not an issue, but just a bit of a growing pain. As far as the Teddy Allen and Xavier Moon stuff goes, you know what? I think both guys are just so about winning. Teddy this year, I think, has been he's obviously had to play such a huge role. He's had to have a lot more of the ball. And I think that he's almost certainly looking forward to just having a lot of that be a lot easier for him. I don't know how many times we've seen, and we saw a lot of it on Friday against Calgary, where it was like, sometimes there's spots where it's like Teddy's having to create a whole lot, and there just doesn't seem to, it seems like he feels that responsibility. Like, okay, I need to score on this play. And there's just going to be so much of that weight taken off of him. I think Moon, even on possessions where he doesn't touch the ball, or maybe he just makes the first pass and just kind of stands there, the amount of gravity that he's going to command, it's just going to open up the floor for everybody. And I think once some of these growing pains get worked out, this really, really should kickstart the offense here.
Well, perfect segue, Vic. Spoke to both of them this morning. Here's what they had to say.
Well, it's good. I think it's coming at the right time. We got a lot of games and a lot of days, and we're trying to secure home court, so it's a good time.
Yeah. How excited are you to play with him?
I'm really excited. Just like everyone else, he seems like a great player, a great guy. I think he can help our team.
I'm very excited. All I'm here to do is take some pressure off of him, so he don't have to carry the load by himself and make everybody else's job easier.
Just leadership. He's a veteran. Real cerebral and technical, mechanical on the court. So I just think he can help us, settle us down in certain situations, and obviously he can score. So whenever you can add someone that to your team, it's exciting.
Yeah, the key one there is, I think that he understands why he's here. And for anybody that has those concerns, Xavier Moon doesn't have anything to prove in this league. And I was speaking with him. If you tuned into the post-game show last game where Xavier Moon tuned in, I asked him about that. And, he said the thing that he wanted to come back for more than anything was people were saying, hey, man, the league's better now. Like, you're not going to dominate. And his thing was more, I want to go prove that I can play. Like, I made my name in this league and I can still go there and play and compete. But he wants to win another championship. And I think he understands that the number one thing is taking away that, a little bit of pressure off Teddy. Right now you have another scorer that, and Teddy says it there too, right? He's another scorer. He can finish. So you can't take him for granted that he's just going to be there to feed Teddy Allen. He's going to feed everybody. But it does feel like he's ready to take that role of, actually, I will paraphrase him, but it's almost a direct quote. I just don't remember the exact wording. But he said on that post-game show, if I need to be Robin to Batman, I will be Robin to Batman. He is okay being the second fiddle.
Oh, and that should be music to everyone's ears, I think. And it definitely is for me as a Seabears fan. Like, that's exactly what you want to hear. And it's not something I was worried about, but still just hearing him say that is absolutely huge. And you know what? I do think that it is true. The CBL is a better league than it was when he's there, but he very well may be better too. This is a guy who then went off and spent several years in the NBA, around NBA organizations. This is a guy who was, in scrimmages against Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, dudes like that on the Clippers. And then obviously, ton of success in one of the top European leagues just recently. I think that we very well, could see a more polished version of Xavier Moon than we saw in previous years. He's still, he's not old. It's not like he's over the hill or anything like that. Not at all. Like, this guy is ready to go. Obviously, he did have a, bit of a tough injury last season, but if you watched him over in Russia, which I think a whole lot of Seabears fans have watched a whole lot of Zenit highlights over the last month and a half. Xavier Moon looks pretty good in Russia. I'm not too worried about it whatsoever. The bounce is there. The agility is there. He's just so smooth to watch. And I'm really excited. It is a better CEBL, but I think we're getting a better Xavier Moon too.
Yeah, for those just tuning in, this is Game Day Live. That's Vic Selby. I'm Joey Slattery breaking down today's game. The Sea Bears hosting the Montreal Alliance, and the biggest news, can't bury it, Xavier Moon returning. We've heard some clips already. We have a few more coming up here before we get to the end of it, but the biggest question we've been talking about is him and Teddy Allen. That's what everybody's wondering. Can they coexist? And, we just played the clip. They are both very confident that not only could they coexist, they can thrive together. Xavier Moon has plenty of NBA experience. He's been with the Clippers organization. He's played around the world. He is the original face of the league, 3-time MVP, 2-time champion with the Edmonton Stingers, and he's raring to go here. He needs to play in these next 5 games. So that's the other thing. He's got to stay healthy. And he's got to be, not that I foresee this being a problem, but at the same token, you can't be taking technical fouls or suspensions, anything like that. Best behavior, and you got to stay fresh to get into the playoffs. But as Teddy Allen said, he's coming at the perfect time. 5 games left. It's the last stretch of retooling, and he's got 5 good games to get that chemistry with everybody. I think this is a good scenario for the Sea Bears. Another guy returning for the Sea Bears, though, is a very well-known person, Jelani Watson-Gale. Watson-Gale, the original closer. If you remember that 2023 season, he led the team with target score winners. He was the 6th man of the year. He's already played in 2 games, played relatively well considering, hey, he got off the plane from Great Britain. He said it was a 7-hour time difference. Now it's a 6-hour time difference being here in Winnipeg. So he has said he's okay during the day. It's the sleep he's been dealing with. But today it will be no worried about being groggy or sleepy because he is returning home for the first time since 2023 here at Canada Life Center. Here's what he had to say about that this morning.
Yeah, it feels nice. A lot of good memories here. 3 years ago, had a lot of success here. So just looking forward to it tonight. The first season is how you just can't get satisfied. I think we had a bit of success earlier in the season, and towards the end, started dropping a few games. So now it's just not get complacent, keep trying to get better. In the playoffs, it's really the hottest team that wins. So, we got new pieces, I'm new, Moon's back and stuff, so just trying to incorporate everybody together and get us rolling.
How excited are you to get into a target score scenario here?
Yeah, no, I'm excited for sure. I had quite a few of those last time I was here, so hopefully we'll get another one.
You could tell he's very comfortable here, eh? He knew it. What's not in the clip, he talked to me a little bit about Teddy still calls him the closer. And that's all he's been calling him on text. And since he's arrived, Jelani the closer, one of the favorite. And we had Teddy Allen talking to us about this on the podcast, on the Target Score Winnipeg podcast. And he said, this is before anybody knew that he was coming. Maybe Teddy did know he was coming, but we asked him about Jelani in that 2023 year. And he said, there's no better closer because there were some rumors going around that maybe he's a guy, and not even rumors, like speculation of just, well, if Xavier Moon can't play, who could they bring in who is a valuable import, a guy who can play in crunch time. And I threw out Jelani Watson-Gale name like earlier in the season before there was any traction on this, just kind of like Sea Bear should look at it. And then he was essentially an insurance policy, Vic, in terms of if this didn't work out with Xavier Moon, because they didn't know, like, to be totally fair and transparent, the Sea Bears had no idea. Xavier Moon had no idea when the Russian Federation and Zenit were going to come together with FIBA to clear him to play. They held on to the absolute last minute. So there was a real concern that, it was a gamble to stay here this long. There was talks earlier, or speculation, I should say, of even last week, like, will they let him go? Because you got to get someone in here by Sunday. If you get a new import, it's a valuable spot to have that import spot open. Obviously, there's no one better than Xavier Moon to tie it up if he can play. So the Sea Bears, if he was not able to play today, they're kind of screwed. You could bring someone in for the rest of the regular season, but you'd lose them come playoff time. So, it was a bit of a gamble for the Sea Bears to bring him in, which is why Jelani was brought in. But I still think these guys coexist. And the one thing now, looking at the Sea Bears moving forward, they've got a great small game. I still think there's question marks, especially without Trey Scott. Hey, DJ Burns, we'll talk about this in just a second, has done great in these last 2 games, really stepped up his game. But looking at the guards and the quality of guards that they have, this is a deep team, and Jelani Watson-Gale is still going to be a very important part of this team going into the playoffs.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see kind of how they figure this out. They do have a bit of an embarrassment of riches right now with these import guards, and that, while that's fantastic, and the fact that right now we can put out Jelani, Xavier Moon, and Teddy Allen in target time, that's absurd. And obviously you'd love to be in that situation. You still got Trey McGowan's. Yeah, what do you do with that? Trey McGowan's has been awesome, and he's been one of our most consistent guys all season. Consistently, just there's been so many games where I'm like, oh man, if we didn't have Trey McGowan's in this game, we'd be in a way worse spot. Now you're in a spot where with 6 imports on the roster and a couple of them needing to play every game, or in Jelani's case, I guess 3 of the next 5, someone's going to need to sit at some point too, and I agree with you. I think that. I don't know. It's a weird spot with DJ Burns and Tillman being the other imports, and obviously, DJ Burns has been excellent these last few games. It still just brings up a whole lot of questions. And while all of these guys have been great, we've seen them be positive contributors, and we know Xavier Moon's going to be. I'm really glad I'm not the one who has to figure out some of these lineup questions. That's for sure.
100%. And a big game today here as well, right? Sea Bears were 1-on-1 on their recent road trip. They played in Saskatoon, which I thought was their most dominant road game of the year. Everything was going really well. It wasn't a perfect game by any stretch, but hey, you took care of business, because you got to remember they lost in Saskatoon earlier this year, right? So they take the season series, and that's kind of the next big thing right now, is just making sure you have the season series on everybody. Calgary, although they split, like it was a split, or they only played 3 times. I think they only played. I have to double check. Don't have the schedule on me, but either way, Calgary's not your concern. You already have the record. So Calgary, as much as they can still make the playoffs, there's no home advantage issues with Winnipeg. But they took care of Saskatoon, took care of Edmonton with the season sweep. Now it's just taking care of Vancouver. Now Vancouver, they play on Thursday. That's a while away. So it's not like, we're focusing on Montreal here. And now getting out of that slump in Calgary, it wasn't the greatest game. And as much as Xavier Moon is making his debut, there's still going to be some rough spots. I anticipate they're still going to have to get used to, working with each other, finding each other's spots and building that chemistry in a game situation. As I said earlier, this is a guy that has been had a lot of preparation, but there is that difference of playing from practice speed to game speed. So there will be some hiccups, I anticipate, but it's not the hiccups I'm worried about from last game. There are things that they clearly have to work on. Calgary just outplayed them, just had that grit and grind. You could tell there was a desperation there. I think the big difference, Vic, was the desperation in that game. Montreal comes in with that very same desperation. The East is nuts. Like, the East is absolutely wild right now. In fact, I'll bring up the standings as we're chatting here. But the Montreal at one point was in second, like last week, right? And now they are in the middle of, like, a win today would put them back in second, I'm pretty sure. And the Niagara River Lions, who were in last, are now in second. So we'll take a look at this here as we're chatting here. We can go through it all together. But here's the standings as they are right now. You've got in the East, Scarborough has already locked up first place. So all they're doing now is trying to roll. They lost yesterday to Ottawa, and that was a gritty one. If you had a chance to watch it, I hope that's a playoff matchup, because they do not like each other. And now Scarborough at 15-4, they have another game against Ottawa. So, like, the big thing, if you're a Sea Bears fan, the reason why you're watching Scarborough right now, Winnipeg doesn't play Scarborough. So Scarborough, if other teams could beat them, Winnipeg would get the number 1 overall, but they have to have a better record. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. I think Scarborough is going to finish top of the league. So if it comes to a head-to-head in the championship game, Scarborough and Winnipeg, if they hypothetically play in that series, Scarborough would get games 2 and 3 out of the best of 3 series. Winnipeg would play the 1. But when you look at the West, so Montreal here, this is what I want to point out. They are 1 game back a second.
Yeah.
They're in last. But if they win today, they tie that record. And I'd have to check back. I'm not sure how it all works out. It's clogged. There's wins and losses amongst all of them. You can tell by the records. But they could be as high as second, but they would definitely jump over Niagara with the win tonight. They have a lot of guys that are inactive. One of them is Quincy Guerrier, who is probably at the moment the best Canadian in in the CEBL,
It has been
he's
so
out.
far. Yeah.
Right. So there's going to be some issues there. But Winnipeg can't take that for granted. You got to put the nails down and take care of this game early. Like, because we've seen now with Calgary twice, a team that you should have beat, and by records, by, talent, whatever, everything was leaning in Winnipeg's favor and they still lost. So today, even with Moon back, you cannot get too comfortable.
Absolutely, and they're playing a hungry Montreal team, one that feels that they should have won on Friday, because they really should have. Like, they were up 7 or 9 points in target time on Vancouver, and it was just a matter of like, okay, let's finish it, and it would have done us a huge favor for sure. But they weren't able to get it done. Vancouver ends up winning narrowly, and Montreal's going to come in here frustrated with that. Really, just ready to, of course, move up the standings and spoil the Xavier Moon party for sure. So. No question about it. The Sea Bears are going to be getting a very, very motivated opponent today.
Well, I had a chance to talk to Jermaine Small, who also won 2 CEBL championships in Edmonton with Xavier Moon.
Yeah, I mean, and then that's the question: is how do they mesh together, right? I know there's challenges of practicing when I know they played the other day, but the good thing for me is I had the pleasure of coaching Xavier Moon, so I do know him well, but regardless, with or without them, they're a very talented team. They're obviously the best team in the West for a reason. So we know that it's going to be a 40-minute game, especially with the atmosphere, and we just got to do what we have to do.
Yeah, and that's the one thing, though, too, and we talked about that off camera, is the atmosphere. Every team, as I mentioned time and time again, loves to bring their best here, but, Montreal doesn't have time for excuses. Doesn't matter who's on the floor right now. A loss can be so crucial in the East, and that's the danger for me, Vic. A loss for Winnipeg, it makes things interesting, but they've locked up their playoff spot. I think with a win today and a Calgary loss, they would tie up home advantage for at least one series. So they would get at least one home game basically with the win today. So that's got to be the motivation. But, Mike Rainbow talked about that too in that interview that I don't have ready clipped, unfortunately. But, he talks about that. They didn't handle the desperation from Calgary well on Sunday, or the other day, whatever day it was. I might get my days on myself. It was a Friday. But that's one thing, is they've got to be ready for this desperation today.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. It's there's just so much on the line in this game. This is like, you can't ask for too much more from a basketball game tonight. I think it's going to be, there's a lot on the line for, well, I guess a little bit less on the line for the Sea Bears, but honestly, like, they, even with the playoff spot clinched up, I think that they've got a point to prove after how the last few games went. Obviously, they're still trying to incorporate a huge part of their team. There's a lot on the line for both teams. I just think that this is going to be a close one. I definitely do not anticipate a blowout either way here. And yeah, either way, no matter how this ends, I hope we end up picking our target score winners here, because there's an embarrassment of riches here. A lot of options, and it's just going to be a great day of sports. I can't wait.
Yeah, is it Smirkio? I keep saying Smirkio, 2121. He's been great on the chat these past few days. He's asking, where was Miles Powell and Frank Mitchell yesterday? I believe Mitchell played, but Miles Powell was suspended. He's a couple too many technicals, and that's one of the things with Scarborough that's kind of rearing its ugly head. If there's something to look at from if there is a playoff meeting, is their emotions run high and they're hard to contain. This is one thing we've noticed with Scarborough. When they lose, they're angry, which is great. But you got to keep it within control. There were some post-game antics after that game, and Miles Powell wasn't there because he probably would have got one again, because it was I'm curious to see what's going to come down. There was nothing too crazy, but there were some players going after other players, and was curious how bad it was going to get. But that is the answer there. So, but again, Scarborough in their own driver's seat. Winnipeg is controlling their own destiny at this point too. So again, we keep talking about Xavier Moon, Jelani Watson-Gale also making his return here. How did you, in the last 2 games, Jelani, particularly in that first game, I thought the fourth quarter he played great. Took him a while to get his wheels. How do you anticipate his role, Vic, as we move forward here, looking into these last 5 games, as he's building his new defined role with this new team going into playoffs?
Oh, it's going to be so interesting, and it's something that I think we'll learn a lot more about today, obviously with Moon being in the lineup. But I do expect he's going to, continue coming off the bench, continue playing a big role. I think we're going to see him probably playing with like one of Teddy Allen or Xavier Moon and a selection of bench guys. If I had to guess, I think he's going to be kind of in a role where, he can do some of that ball handling, carry some of that load. And then obviously in target time, it's easy to say he is the closer, right? He's the guy, we've seen that, but there's some tough lineup options there. It's like, you're still in a spot where it's like, okay, so you can pretty much pencil in him, Xavier Moon, and Teddy, one would think.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you fill in or around them? That's scary. Okay, you'd think probably Jeremiah Tillman, but he's had some of his own issues with foul trouble and things like that. If that's the case, I don't know. Oh man, it's yeah, I agree with your point earlier. The Sea Bears are so set up to play small. I don't know if they're in a great position to play big with things, especially with Trayvon Scott being gone, and when they play against teams with some real size. It's going to be interesting. And then I think that's going to really impact the guard minutes for not just Jelani, but kind of for everybody.
Yeah, it's just after 2:00 here, so a little less than 3 hours away from game time. It's a little bit early of a pre-game show. Appreciate you guys tuning in. With it being a home game, I got to get ready to get out there. I'm calling the game tonight, so really looking forward to that. It's going to be an exciting one with Xavier Moon making his debut. Vic, been doing this for about a half an hour. Do you want to get to our players to watch and target score winner predictions?
For sure, man. Let's do it.
Okay, let's start with Montreal. Who's your player to watch? And let's start with that. Who's your player to watch?
Oh, man. Okay, looking at the Montreal lineup now. You know what? There's a guy I've been really interested in recently. One of their more recent import signings, Jack Hemphill. I really liked what I saw from him on Friday. I just think he's a guy who doesn't really put up numbers, but he does little things. And he's just one of those guys where I can just see him really annoying me over the course of today's game. I think there's just a really good chance that he does like a bunch of the little things that it's just like, he bail out little play, he scores, hook shot with 2 seconds left on the shot clock, things like that. He's just one of those guys where I don't expect he's going to put up a bunch of numbers, but he's a guy I've enjoyed watching so far, and just somebody who I think is capable of causing real problems.
Well, to your point, he played just shy of 25 minutes off the bench in Vancouver. And we didn't even get into Vancouver, but Montreal had a 22-point lead that they blew. They had a 10-point lead going into target time, and they lost by 1 point. It was 93-92 Vancouver. So Montreal almost did a favor to Winnipeg last game in Vancouver. So they're frustrated too because they felt they should have won that game. And this has been an issue with Montreal. In the games that they did lose, it's a lot of them have been with leads, right? That they're having a hard time closing out games. So, a guy like that coming in 17 points off the bench, a great one. He's coming off the bench, but he's playing starter minutes and he's there when it matters most. But there's a sour taste in their mouth for sure. For me, the player to watch is Prince Odro. He played great yesterday too, against Vancouver on Friday. He had more than 30 minutes. He had the second most minutes on the team. He was 50% from the field. He had 13 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks. He's going to be a problem today for Jeremiah Tillman Jr., for a guy, as we've talked about, that struggled to stay in the game. If Prince Odro can get into his groove and get a couple of fouls on Jeremiah Tillman Jr. early, it's going to make things a lot better. I mean, he drew 6 fouls last game. Like, he knows how to draw fouls too. And here's a guy who's very motivated. He left Brampton to go to Montreal, and he played his whole career in Brampton. So this is a dude that's motivated and, might have a little bit of extra salt on that because he wants to not only get into the playoffs, but he would love to either meet Brampton in the playoffs or be the reason they're not in the playoffs, because they're slumping pretty hard since they've let go of him too. So Prince Odro is my guy to watch. Turning over to Winnipeg, I think we're probably going to be on the same scale here. Who do you got?
Yeah, I can't not pick Xavier Moon. I'm excited to watch him. I know everybody. I think there's going to be so many eyes just from warm-up. I wouldn't be shocked if there's more fans in the seats for warm-ups than normal just to see the guy. Because, I'll tell you, just watching him at the pregame shoot-arounds over these last few games, it's almost been frustrating because of how good he looks in these warm-ups. I've got a video on my phone of a minute and a half long video of him hitting 8 threes in a row at shoot around before the last game against Calgary, and I'm just watching it, and I was just angrier with every shot that went in because I was just like, this guy's really like, he's not going to play for us. Like, he's not playing tonight. I'm watching this.
I just picture you like that meme from X-Men where Wolverine is like in bed looking at the picture, but it's you looking at your phone, just watching this 1.5-minute clip of Xavier Moon with a tear in your eye.
I made that meme earlier in the season. I'll send it to you after the game.
Okay.
I literally already made it. But yeah, no, it's going to be me. Xavier Moon is definitely the player to watch. I can't wait. There, you know what? There honestly are a lot of good options, but for this one, it's just, it's got to be Xavier Moon.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do anything crazy here. Xavier Mood. I'll give a close second to Jelani Watson-Gale being home as well. But dude, the anticipation has been wild.
Yeah,
it's been for fans. It's been for Xavier himself. It's been for guys like you and me in the media. It's been for the league. This has been so highly anticipated. Like the moon landing happened months ago and then weeks ago when he got here full time, but now he's cleared for takeoff, and there's going to be a lot of eyes on this game for sure. What a great way to end your Sunday, a 5:00 start for this one, watching Moon. Okay, target score winners. Start with Montreal. Who do you see being the closer in Montreal?
Okay, it's an interesting one. Looking at this Montreal roster, you're right about some interesting inactives. I'm going to go with the guy who did not have his best game against Vancouver last time out. I think is going to be looking to prove it. And that's Lou Williams. Lou Williams-Lee, I want to say his name is. I can't.
I'd say it's the third.
Is it just the third?
It's because of we've had this conversation. If you're ever on the CEBL website and you see something that looks like Lee, capital L, little I, whether it's 1 or 2, it's because there's a glitch in the system that they can't capitalize. So it's always the weird way of saying the second or the third. So Lou Williams the third.
See, that's what I thought. Like, I'd heard it on commentary. I was just like, I Googled it to make sure.
I've been caught. I've done this in the past, so I'm very aware.
Yeah, but anyways, good player though overall. Didn't have his best time out. I feel this is weird. I don't have the data to back this up, but I just feel like there's a certain type of guy who gets the target score winner against the Sea Bears. And that's just the type of guy he's going to do it. Like, if he hits the target score winner, it's going to be a pull up mid range on like the right elbow, and it's just like that's how it's going to end. So like just purely vibes based, but that's what I'm going with for today for Montreal.
Okay, so just to switch it up a little bit, because I like Lou Williams too, but I'll go with Blondo Chiquegno. Here's a guy that played 30 minutes last game, had 17 points. 42% from the field, not too bad. But he's he can shoot the three. He was 3 for 8 from 3. He's got he's pretty diverse in what he brings to the table. Again, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. He's a guy that can get into it. So I like your Lou Williams pick, but I'll go with Blondo just to switch it up. And for the Sea Bears, who do you got?
It's interesting. Here's my theory with the Sea Bears lineup. I just think that we have so many ball handlers and so many dangerous guys to have out there in target time. I just think someone's going to get doubled, and the ball is going to find its way in the hands of a guy like my pick, Emmanuel Acott. I think that it's just going to be one of those situations where I don't know who's going to have the ball. Who knows? We've already listed all the guards, but somebody's going to have it. They're going to get a double. They're going to cut in or something, and Emmanuel Acott's going to be open. I just think he's going to be the guy to do it. I'll go on the record though. I think that whoever gets the target score winner is not going to be one of Xavier Moon, Jelani Watson-Gale, or Teddy Allen today. Just purely feeling.
Okay, I like that because I'm going to try again with Jelani Watson-Gale. As selfishly as the play-by-play announcer, I want Jelani Watson-Gale to come back in his first game in Winnipeg and do what he's known for here. We've talked about Jelani Watson-Gale since he left, dude. Like, it has been forever. He's not been forgotten. It's been like 4 years. If he comes in and gets that storybook ending of hitting that game-winning shot in the target score like we were so accustomed to him doing in year number 1, I just think it would be the cherry on top if he can pull that off, if the Sea Bears are in a position to win a target score time. I also am curious. I know they don't have any chemistry because the other thing, Jelani Watson-Gale and Xavier Moon have not played at all together. Like they've not had a practice together. They have not, because they had 2 games on the road and he wasn't on the road for this last road trip. Xavier Moon, he was doing some community stuff here. So, there is a little bit of like, the friction, but or not friction, but there's going to be major chemistry building there
for sure.
But that said, if they're on the floor at the same time, again, it's tough because they play a similar position, but if they do find themselves in that position, I'm curious if the guys, especially the Teddy Allens who played with them, if they're going to look for Jelani Watson-Gale and see if they can give him that closer touch, bring that nostalgic feel of 2023 into Canada Life Center. It would just be a cherry on top. So I have to go with Jelani Watson-Gale hitting that shot. And I not try to sound like a homer. I try to be down the middle, but there is a part of me from a storyline standpoint, how fitting it would be if he can hit that shot in target, even if it was his only points of the game, it would just be chef's kiss. Okay, we're coming up on 40 minutes here, Vic. So any closing thoughts here as we close out Game Day Live? Just a reminder, tonight's game 5:00. It was scheduled for 3.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be there in 45 minutes. I got a little extra time. This has been an earlier than normal pregame show, just because it is a home game and it's a 5:00 start. So appreciate you guys taking your time on the Sunday afternoon to come watch this. But final thoughts here as we get ready for this game against the Montreal Alliance, who again are in the thick of a playoff race in the East and are coming off a very disappointing loss. If you thought the loss to Calgary was disappointing for the Sea Bears, it holds nothing on Montreal blowing a 22-point lead and 10-point lead in target score time to lose by 1 to Vancouver.
Yep, absolutely. You know what? And my final thoughts are really simple today. And it's just that, you know what? Winnipeg sports fans are so smart and they're so on top of things. I was already getting messages today about what are we going to do about the import stuff? Like, what does that work? Like, is Trey McGinn, is everyone playing today? People are already asking these sorts of questions. How are guys going to work out? I've seen those pretty much immediately ever since he got declared to play. Guys, let's just have fun. Let's enjoy it. It's going to be special. We've been waiting for this for so long. I trust that things are going to work out. I agree. There's some real lineup decisions and some discussions that have to be had for sure. But I've got confidence in all the parties involved in making those decisions. And ultimately, at the end of the day, the most decorated player in the history of this league is going to play for the Winnipeg Sea Bears today. That's awesome. Let's just enjoy it.
And he's excited too. And I agree with you. I think, win, lose, or draw, this is a pretty significant moment in Sea Bears history. The anticipation builds with it. This is a story we're going to be talking about for years when it comes to the Winnipeg Sea Bears and the Xavier Moon era. He got in the nick of time. If he didn't play today, he would not be available for playoffs. He still has to play in all 5 games in order to qualify for the playoffs, but he's in a position to do so tonight. He will very likely be starting. This is a guy who has been practicing. He's not just coming off the plane. He's not unfamiliar with this team. He was the first signing way back when there was still snow on the ground. It was either January or February. I can't remember. And it's been longer than anybody would have liked to see, but he will make that debut tonight. Vic, for people that want to find you, where can they find you?
Just at Winnipeg Sports Weekly. And obviously, I also just want to mention, if you see me around at Canada Life Center or just in general, feel free to say hello. Today is the WSW night, so I'll be sitting in a section with kind of a whole bunch of people who bought through that link, which is awesome. So for anybody there or anybody else, please say hello. If you want to just talk ball, talk Winnipeg sports, anything like that. But yeah, at Winnipeg Sports Weekly on Instagram is the main place to find us.
No one covers and summarizes the Winnipeg sports scene quite like Winnipeg Sports Weekly and my friend Vic Selby. So if you haven't already, give them a follow. And of course, if you're not following or subscribe to this page, subscribe to this YouTube channel. This is the Target Score Podcast Network. We have shows in Brampton, Vancouver, and Winnipeg. Weekly episodes of the Target Score Winnipeg podcast coming out every week. And we also have our post-game live. So I'll be back on after the show, or after the game rather, for the post-game wrap-up. And of course, the Game Day Live ahead of every single game. For all of you that tuned in on the Sunday afternoon, we appreciate you. And if you haven't already, give this a like and share with people. We love to have you guys on. We love having the work in the comments. Thanks, Murkio, for getting in on the comments today. And for those of you that are still on, we'll see you tonight. If you're watching this in replay, glad to catch you on replay. All of our shows are, of course, on demand on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Target Score Podcast, on Instagram at Target Score Pod, and myself at Joey Slattery TV. So make sure you're giving us a follow and you're staying tuned, and we will make sure that we're getting all of your Sea Bears needs and wants and dreams out of the way. That's why we're here. Thanks for everything. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. It was a 5 o'clock start. It was supposed to be a 3 o'clock start. So if you at Canada Life Center, if you can't get there, you can catch the game on CBC Gem, CBC Sports YouTube, and CBL Plus. Vic, we'll see you at the game.